Joining the industry has been purely a passion pursuit from day one.
Games are such complicated jigsaw puzzles.
It can be a very emotional place to work. Everybody genuinely cares about creating something amazing.
The most important thing about games are the players. This is what makes this art form unique for me.
Hello, I'm James Dabrowski and I'm the Managing Director of Sharkmob London.
My name is Stanisław Święcicki and I'm a narrative director here at Sharkmob.
I've been in the games industry now for probably coming on 15 years. Joining the industry has been purely a passion pursuit from day one.
Video games was always a big thing for me. Gaming was still very much in there.
For many years, I didn't know how you got into the games industry. Making a real decision that I was going to doggedly go after the industry that I loved a few years into my career that kind of made me where I am today.
My first job was with CD Projekt Red. I joined the studio to work on Cyberpunk, and now I'm here. It's been almost 2 years.
For me, it took a year and a half of solid applications. I thought about giving up on a number of occasions, and I'm very, very glad now that I didn't. So Stan, what inspired you to become a game developer?
I think The Witcher inspired me as a game. I loved it so much when I fought in mixed martial arts. My intro music was the soundtrack for the Golem.
As you were going down the corridor to the ring.
As I was going to the corridor to the ring, it was like... boom, boom, boom. I remember the moment when I started a PhD in philosophy. And I was incredibly depressed. I wasn't ready for what doing a research postgraduate degree entails. And this job came up, which was for a writing position at CD Projekt Red. And I was like, whoa, video games have been with me in all of the most difficult moments of life. That there's always been that notion of agency, something new.
Is working in the games industry what I expected? I'd say yes and no. Something that didn't surprise me is the industry is absolutely filled with incredibly hardworking, passionate people who love video games. I think most people are here because they enjoy the craft, they enjoy making games.
Games are such complicated jigsaw puzzles. In my opinion, like many people get discouraged quite quickly because the goal is not in sight. You're working on small pockets of stuff.
What was a big surprise was how little I knew about making games. It hit me how specialist people can be in the games industry, how broad a variety of roles there are.
You have to really think of the game. Think of how the little brick you're patting and polishing is going to fit in something much larger.
I'd say the hardest aspect of my job, it can be a very emotional place to work. Everybody genuinely cares about creating something amazing. You very often get very different viewpoints. In a really healthy way, those different viewpoints are really powerful because debate and conflict leads to some amazing creative decisions and the evolution of the medium, making sure we manage all of those kind of human interactions in a really happy, healthy, organic way.
The hardest part of my job, not letting anything slip between my fingers. So with big projects, these teams and their sheer volume of the creative storms which happen in these different departments is very, very large. Navigating through these storms is the most difficult part of my job.
It's kind of amazing because I think I probably applied for, it must be close to 100 jobs before somebody gave me a position in the games industry.
What did you bring from your background into your first job, which I understand was a producer, right?
It was, yeah, and it's similar to what I'm doing now, I think. I think it's skills around people management, project management, stakeholder management, breaking them down into simple tasks that you can disseminate around a team. I don't think I'd be where I am today if I hadn't spent a few years doing something else beforehand.
100%. Like I often get asked this question as well because many people want to work as writers and narrative designers because it's a very appealing path to many people. I mean, as human beings, we're very natural storytellers, so I'm not really surprised. So I often get the question is like, how can I break in? How can I train writing? Well, my answer to that is very boring and depressing for some people. Just keep writing.
Keep writing.
Keep writing, you know, because I didn't have any formal training in writing myself.
If I could go back to talk to myself at the beginning of my games career and give myself some advice, make sure you speak your mind and have confidence in speaking your mind, but do it in a very polite, professional and mature way.
If I could get the old me a pat on the back and whisper some advice, I would say persistence.
My learning is that most of the senior folks in the games industry are really, really open to challenge and new ideas, as long as those ideas are delivered in a really constructive, positive way. And so I would encourage anybody new to the industry, if you have some level of expertise in the genre you're making, even if it's just playing it, speak your mind, talk to your seniors, feel free to pull them aside and challenge them or give them some suggestions. You'll know you're in a good company when the seniors you're talking to take that on board in a good way as well.
For me, the most important thing about games are the players. This is what makes this art form unique for me. Thinking of that in itself can not only boost your persistence and help you make it in the long run, because game dev is rarely a sprint. It's usually a marathon, and a lengthy marathon at that.
But I have learned throughout my career in games that there are ups and downs within every single project. And more often than not, once you launch that game and you see the glowing reviews and you see the happiness of fans that are playing the game, some of the hard work that went into it is always well worth it.
Know your craft, play games, and critically assess them. Get engaged in game jams, in workshops. Interact with the nature of what a game is by making your own stuff and putting your name out there, and that will certainly help.
If you're joining the games industry, or trying to join the games industry from outside of the games industry, it's incredibly difficult to do it unless you are a gamer. I think
absolutely.
You need to know enough about video games as a consumer to be able to relay your expertise and your life stories to how that would help make games.
The trophy stuff we've seen. So what's the new things? So the question is, what's going to come back next?
Finding the right idea is more important than being right. You need to remain very flexible in the game industry. And you need to have a degree of resilience to things changing. But also, because the projects are so lengthy, as you said, some games projects can be 5-6 years, the world changes in that time period.
I love my job. I love writing. I love creating stories. Of course, there are times where I'm very down. And then I guess I imagine that moment where your baby, your piece of work, makes it to the audience and people interact with it in so many ways. This feeling that you've created something that's gone out there and people have interacted with it, that's one of the biggest motivators for me.
If it's what you really want to do, don't let it stop you. Keep focused, keep pushing, keep trying, keep talking to people, keep applying, keep evolving your skills based on what you're learning from people you talk to in the industry. And I feel confident you will crack it. And once you're in the industry, life does get a whole lot easier.